Good evening, Champland. Fifey here for another night of Super League action, and I'm pleased to say, contrary to earlier reports, I am joined by the Fulchester boss, Mr. Macca, and he may have had a beer or three already, and there is no promise that that is not going to continue throughout the night. I hope you are all well. I myself am buzzing because I get out of quarantine tomorrow and I get to start living my life again. But enough about me. Let's bring the man of the moment, the guy that you all want to hear from. Good evening, Macca. How are you?
Good evening, Fifey. I am much better. I've already got away with 2 lies to wife today. I had 3 beers after golf. I am fucking compos mentis peronius today. Let's have it.
Let's have it indeed. So the same question that I've asked the last few guys that have been on. We're at game week 8 now. How have you found the season as a whole so far, the start of the season? You currently find yourselves 4th, 5 points off top, but still very handily in the mix for the top 2 places.
Yeah, I mean, with us, it's been a little bit funny in that we've created a ton of chances, but as you can see there, the goal difference doesn't really reflect that.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we should have buried more teams and had a few more points. But I would say the only game we definitely deserved to lose was probably Hools. Everything else, I feel like we should have got something from. And I do feel like we are drawing games that perhaps last year I would have lost. So that's probably testament to Ryan's influence. What I would like to say is I do think Burn look even better. Okay. Obviously helped by the acquisition of the best fucking midfielder in the game, Cheers Ian Campbell. And Hodgie, whatever he's done with his shifts to actually give him some time to get back on champ is fantastic as well. He looks dangerous. I think even at this early stage, the top 2 are sewn up. Right. But what's been a really pleasant surprise for me is the likes of Astor and Dudley being a bit of a surprise package, and not just for a couple of games, but for now, obviously, a quarter of the season or best part of.
Yep.
Dudley in particular look pretty good, but then again, they've got a relatively good squad, so I think top 8 for them should always be the minimum. Astor definitely deserved the shout out because let's be honest, that team is absolute garbage on paper. However, tactically, Mr. Tato Mourinho has got them, playing above the sum of their parts, basically. Long may it continue, because it just makes it all the more interesting.
No, I pretty much agree with everything you've said there, especially the long may it continue part. So we'll obviously go, providing there's no ghost games, we'll always put that disclaimer in. We'll end with Fulchester versus Haggis. Is there any games tonight that you're particularly interested in seeing?
Bostock Burn, because Scott's had a little upturn in fortunes recently.
Okay.
And also Hools Dudley, because I know Jens has gone seeking the temple as well, actually, as per some of his videos recently, which big fan of that. I think that could be an absolute humdinger. I think in terms of what I predicted to Swan, I think I've gone for Hools 2, Dudley 3 or something to that effect.
Lovely.
Sloss Gazelles could be an absolute slugfest. But yeah, if you're forcing me to pick, the 2 games other than my own I'm interested in are probably Bostock Burn and Hools Dudley.
Okay, well, let's see where the game wants us to start. And it wants us to start with Dragons entertaining Locomotive Boston. We'll start with the away side. Very up and down results for Boston. They lost their first 3. Then they drew, won the next 2, and then lost last time out against Churchtown, with Hussein scoring the goal, and it was probably a deserved win overall for Churchtown. I think we were saying on Thursday night. This is what Loco have gone with. It is a revision. I had 2 tactics submitted this week. One when Greavesy was hammered and angry, and then this one saying, please use this one, I'm sober now.
Oh, coleslaw Kaluzhny there on 92%. That could be a worry. I think I said this on Twitter that I believe this is probably Greaves' most well-balanced lineup of the season. I think that front four is arguably his best front four. You could maybe put Zidane in for. Has he still got Zidane actually, or am I mixing it up?
No, Zidane is playing for the hosts.
Was he?
Yep.
Oh right, all right, never mind then. Shows how much attention I pay. I think that top four is actually pretty good. You maybe for Scholes or Figo and swap one of those two on that sort of AMC position that doesn't have an arrow on it. But yeah, overall, I feel this is Loco's best lineup they've put out this season. It's been a bit of an odd season for him, hasn't it? Actually, as he's added more star power over his 2 or 3 seasons in the league now, he seems to have just not had that same Ivan Drago-esque consistency that he had in the first season when his team was absolute garbage, but he managed to just beat every fucker 1-0.
Well, there's no place in the team for Seedorf. There's no place for Rivaldo. No place for Makalele, who did play last time out. And also, the out of league signing for this year continues to find his opportunities limited, despite coming on off the bench on his debut and scoring. He then got given the chance to start, then reduced back to the bench, and then out of the team completely, despite not actually doing anything wrong.
Do you know what, it's a hard one though, isn't it? Because Montella's Montella, especially on this game in this league, and with Brugink having that FC option, he then presents more of a direct replacement for Del Vecchio, Scholes and Figo. So I can see exactly why Greaves has done that, but not playing Seedorf. I mean, I'm a big fan of Seedorf, so that's a bit of a funny one to me. But even then, looking at his squad now, I mean, Donati and Makalele are my cast-offs. Read into that what you will. But other than that, this is possibly I think it's his strongest lot, you know. Okay. He's gone for his players who can play multiple positions or cover where he's got the most bodies. So, again, probably a very astute lineup.
Dragons revert back to the tactic that they used in the 2-1 win at home to Astor. And that sees them line up like this: Cole and back supporting Kluivert, Van der Vaart in that sort of lone midfield role. Emerton continues to be the right wing back of choice for Dragons, who have significantly improved this year compared to what they achieved last year.
Do you know what? I'm not surprised actually. Look at that. Oh, hang on, what's going on here? Why does it sound like I'm coming from the 6th layer of hell?
It's coming through clearly enough to me.
Was it? Oh, sorry. It must be my, well, according to the chat, my corporate slavery headset, which makes total sense. Do you know what I was going to say? If we look at that 11 there, that's one of the best in the league. Easily.
This is why 2 years ago they made the grand final.
Well, yeah. Do you know what? Maybe it's just because of the whole multi-assistant manager thing, you know, Duggan and Wood are moving on, Smuts coming in, you know, all the sort of fanfare about all that kind of stuff. That actually, any business they've done and everything else has gone under the radar. But that DM4 is absolutely outstanding. Van der Vaart, Cole and Back are 3 of the most exciting young talents on the game generally. You know, you'd always try and reach out and get them. Yep. And Kluivert's generally clinical. Giuliano and Lucio, solid. Quixote season 3-4, really solid. Like, I know they've turned it around in recent games and started, you know, getting some more results, particularly in a draw against us and a few other things. But you'd be looking at that sort of starting 11 and whatnot. You've got to be thinking, why are they not doing better? Why have they not done better generally?
Well, that was very much the criticism last season, that the squad they had should not be bottom of the league, especially after being in the grand final the year before. I think, I mean, I don't want to put words in the mouths of either Jamie or Smuts. I think when Smuts came in last year, he was kind of just taking the piss a little bit, but now he's fully invested in it. And although Jamie's still very much in charge, Smuts sees his reputation within the in inverted commas champ community on the line as well. So he's probably taken it a bit more seriously, particularly when it came to doing transfers and stuff, and it's more serious discussions in terms of tactics, etc.
Yeah, definitely. That is a very, very dangerous 11. I mean, if you chuck Zidane for Van der Vaart in there potentially, it's absolutely outstanding in my view. Do you know what? Again, I really need to pay more attention to other teams. I get caught in the C-suite's own height. Me and Ryan just big each other up and backsap every time. We created 44 chances. Reading too much of the Athletic, really. Looking at phases gained and quadrant turned and all that. We're looking at the wrong stats.
You're going to be one of these guys who's promoting getting XG added to.
Do you know what? I'm ashamed to say I might have become a fucking football hipster. This is bad. Do you know what I mean? Like Bun on BT Sport, I'm like, go on, I'll have a watch. Why? Stop it. Athletic, stop it. Anyway, this is a banging 11. This could be a belting game now, actually.
Well, if I could ask you for your first prediction of the evening then, sir, before we kick off Dragons versus Locomotive Boston.
I think I predicted a draw to Swan, but actually look at this now. I think Dragons could nick it 2-1.
You think Dragons could nick it 2-1? Well, I will hit kick off as I swap from top chat to live chat, and let's see what game one offers us. Lots of adulation, which I know you would have seen in the chat, to have you on comms, mate. Always a pleasure having you, and everyone loves hearing from you as well.
I think people just want me to get absolutely bladdered and say some really either comedic, self-destructive nonsense or absolutely abusive.
The minutes are flying by.
Into champ community hiding.
The minutes are flying by. We're almost at half-time already. No goals yet. I can see Tato went 2-1, Alf going 1-2, Steve going 0-3, Smuts saying 0-0, and Ian Edwards 1-1. Dragons missed a couple of chances. There's Archie back on the stroke of half-time with his first goal of the season, giving Dragons the lead, and quite possibly, it looks to me, a deserved lead as well by the overall game stats. They'd had a couple of chances leading up to that. I think Clivert missed one, then they hit the woodwork. But on half-time, Archie back gives Dragons the lead. What did you make of that first half, Macca?
Do you know, it seemed to build to a bit of a crescendo with obviously the goal at half-time. Looking at these stats as well,
yeah,
I'm inclined to think that both teams are playing direct passing, and they're both trying to attack each other and therefore nullifying each other out. Particularly, you're looking at the low pass numbers, but the low tackle rate and high header rate for Locomotive Boston.
Yeah, okay.
It looks like the sort of defensive four from Dragons are trying to get the ball up the field as quickly as possible, which would make sense with Cole back and Clivert there. Whereas Loco are looking to try and shift it a little bit more and perhaps losing that central midfield battle because Van der Vaart's got freedom of the pitch there. Although I would have thought the 3 AMs of Loco would perhaps at least do something against the 2 DMs of Dragons. But again, given the fact they're winning more headers, it just depends where those headers are going to. So overall, solid half from Dragons, I think.
And I will just tick it over.
Sorry, go on.
No, I was just saying, you carry on. I was just ticking over to Locomotive so you can do the comparative analysis there.
I mean, the condition of Figo is probably a concern. Same with Coleslaw Kolozny. Couple of sixes. I mean, Montella, Scholes, Figo sixes. I would have exciting attacking front line. Bit unusual, even for course standards, but again, it's difficult to see where you bring the change in here. You keep Montella on to try and nick a goal. Del Vecchio, perhaps, just because he's not been as involved the others.
Ryan's just
probably be tempted to hold Figo off.
Ryan's just picking up on a point you made regarding the passing, saying they're both playing short passing, Macca. You were the only one to play different.
Really?
Without going into specifics, I do know that there are at least 2 other managers than yourself who at times this season have not gone with the generic short passing. So people are certainly mixing it up a little bit more this year.
Do you know what? I'm basing my analysis here off a lot of the numbers that we see on screen. I used to get very similar when I was playing direct passing and not really doing well in games. The pass numbers looked a lot like this. However, I think when I've had short passing on, I've still generally made a lot more passes. So that's interesting. Oh, brilliant for Figo. Yeah, I'd have probably done that.
Yeah, I was going to say, you mentioned Figo there as possible for being replaced, and Greavesy agrees. He's brought Arnold Brujinkon. Just waiting for clarification from Smuts. Was it Joe Cole? It growing one in?
I think he means growing into the game, possibly, or I'm not sure. I mean.
Just wait for his clarification if he wants to make any subs in the absence of Jamie from the chat. Would you be making any at this point, or do you think they'll be fairly content?
I'd possibly get Morientes for Cliver because I love swapping a 6 merchant out. But other than that, actually, I think giving you 1-0 up, had the better of the game, and not doing anything fantastically, I'd more than likely be inclined to stay as is. He wants to see condition. Yes, Edgar Davids Smuts is your lowest on 84. So Boomsong would be the like for like there potentially. Other than that, everybody else is in the 90s.
And Smuts is sticking as is. I don't think he wants to risk Boomsong for Davids. So we'll kick off the second half and see if there are more goals to follow. It looks like, and Dragons have, I was just about to say, they look more likely, and Van der Vaart has made it 2-0 to the home side. Their form has certainly picked up from where they were last year. Klompe getting a yellow card. With a referee whose name I don't recognise as getting a regular outing in the Super League, if I'm honest.
John Siders.
Indeed.
He's probably one of the fucking England Barmy Army going watching the Ashes. Honestly, don't get me started on that. I left the house this morning to go to golf, right? And England were 71 for 1 or something. I thought, right, okay, that's about 70 runs better than we normally are. Yeah. Come on, boys, you've got it covered. And then literally by the time I teed off an hour and a bit later, or maybe 40 minutes later, whatever it was, we'd lost about 8 wickets. It was fucking embarrassing. Oh, well, that arse just flown by, hasn't it? And to be fair, Dragons very good value for the win. Simple as that, really.
They were very good value for the win. And you're right, it did fly by while we were enjoying your anecdote about the Barmy Army and the England cricket. But Dragons continue to build momentum and an assault on the top 6 with a fine win over Loco, whose patchy, inconsistent form continues. I feel very sorry for what Mrs. Greaves is going to get when in reaction to this result.
Probably dry anal.
Let's have a look at the hosts first, and those individual player ratings will make very, very good reading. Joe Cole, I know, is a player who is constantly discussed at Dragons HQ, so one of the duo in particular will be very pleased to see his 9 rating. Van der Vaart and Gattuso, who midweek when Ian was on comms, Gattuso was someone who got singled out for praise by Ian, and he got a 9 rating as well. Lots of impressive numbers being pulled out there. I'm looking at Balmer's tackle percentage, winning 10 of 12. Also winning all of his headers out wide. What else have we got here? Quite a lot. There's 3 players there hitting double figures for tackle numbers as well. Very important against Loco, and very well done by the
they've fought fire with fire there, haven't they? They've actually absolutely got stuck in and done what they can. And I don't mean to detract from Dragons' really important victory here. I think that's a great win over a side with proven pedigree. But you've got to ask the question now, is Greaves under pressure?
Well, let me ask you that question. Is Greavesy under pressure?
Well, I will look forward to Twitter when you put out the screenshot. Whether doctored or not, I'll leave that decision with you, Fifey, of the board are seriously fucking unhappy with PRG.
Just start, not only to take the screenshots or the window snips or whatever, but just start making my own up and changing the wording and stuff.
Do you know what? Honestly, I'll help you do that if needed. I think that would be absolutely fantastic. You keep the general tone of the message, but just whack in like a Greaves, that was wank lad, said the board, so on and so on.
Ryan's asking, have Loco got worse question. Or other teams got better?
I think a combination of the two, to be fair. I think Greavesy in his first season with that team of ragtag misfits really made everyone sit up and take notice. So it's kind of up to everybody else's game. I think Burn and Devils having 2 super sides as well has made everybody think particularly about the games against those guys, about trying to play, different ways and whatever. I also think at the other end of the table, teams historically that have maybe struggled have had to really think about deals and tactics and whatever else. So I think, I'm not saying Loco were the catalyst for it at all. I just think generally over the last couple of seasons, everybody's kind of upped the game. So I would say Loco have got a bit worse, yes, but I think it's more 70-30. Other teams have got better.
very, very measured response to that question. Well, congratulations to Dragons, commiserations to Greavesy, and my apologies to Mrs. Greaves as well, who apparently is getting nothing as he's struggling to get a hard on over these current performances. That takes us to one of the games you mentioned in the intro, Bostock Stanley entertaining Northern Burn. Now, Burn line up in their traditional formation. However, you'll spot there is a couple of sort of tactical tweaks to it. The Vieira being available again sees Keane move into midfield. Normally, he would just replace Ljungberg, but Totti's actually moved further forward again. Gustavo Lopez dropping to the bench.
I think that's a good call.
And Jorgatos coming in for, I want to say Lizarazu. Yeah, Lizarazu as well from last time out.
I think this is, again, do you know what, maybe because I hadn't been able to take too much notice, and that's just because of my time rather than the admiration of Ian's artwork. I think the way that team looks now on paper, as I can see it, is probably one of the strongest he can put out. I think, again, you'd put one of Vieira or Keane in centre midfield at this point, get on the front foot, try and wing it. Hoffman Cannavaro's ridiculous. Toldo's big match merchant. George Assos and Contra, not the world class names at DML and DMI you'd normally associate, but absurdly reliable. Robin and Totti in AM, and then cheat code up top. I mean, what else can you do?
Well, the question here is, at risk of going over old ground, which I don't want to do, is the reason for moving Totti further forward to stop things like this happening? So last time out, they lost away at Devils, no disgrace to that. But then you look at those stats and think, how have they managed it? And then,
that'd be my thinking. I think Totti does more damage at that point than he does, at that point up in the field rather than he does at MC or whatever. So I think Ian's made a very sensible decision here to get that done.
It is the criticism that I've been forced to level at them. I mean, even here, they beat Gazelles 2-0, a fairly routine win, but you look at the stats, you think, how was it only 2-0? I mean, if Fulchester were pulling these numbers, you'd expect, 4-5?
I'd expect a black eye for one of the neighbours, to be honest. I'd be fuming. We've been like this all season.
So I think that's possibly in Ian's thinking. Lopez dropping to the bench means that Sunwa, who Ian was quite interested in seeing stats for last time out, is removed from the squad entirely.
AFCON Davy Collins.
Let's have a look at the hosts, who last time out did beat Haggis 2-0. All the action really in the first half, and they go unchanged. So Anelka continues to.
Why would you?
You mentioned the Burn sort of wing backs, if you will, being outrageously reliable, but maybe not the sort of Galactico names. Is this more what you're looking for when you see Cafu and Zé Roberto?
In terms of Galacticos, absolutely. And then you've got the unheralded names, really, of Leith and Welsh in midfield. But I think they've got the stats in the right places, particularly a few seasons in. So, again, that's a very solid DM4, particularly with wing backs who are more attacking rather than defensive. You'd probably associate with the qualities they've got.
Yep.
Bowyer in midfield, Monster, and then Keen Jacks, and then Anelka up top. I think it's been doing the business for Scott this year. He's scored quite a few goals, hasn't he?
Anelka?
As a team, I think Bostock have scored more goals than us this season.
They're on 7, you're on 8.
Oh, right. It feels like they've scored more, just because we have 58 chances a game and scored 2. But do you know what? They've probably been unlucky then. I still think that's a decent front three. Very, very solid lineup from Scott.
They've only scored 2 once this season. That was in their last game.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you know what? That's a surprise to me, actually. I just sort of, mentally felt like they'd been involved in a few humdingers.
They do concede from time to time. I mean, they've conceded 2 or more on 3 occasions already this season. So they will give chances away. But perhaps now Scott is starting to, that win over Haggis could be the turning point to say, we'll go back to something that is more what people expect of us.
Yeah, you'd certainly hope so. I'm just wondering, actually, looking at his team there on the screen, would Saviola get a shout? Has Ortega still got it in him? Ezekiel Gonzalez, can he do anything? I don't. I think it gives Scott enough variation on a theme to rotate and whatnot. But again, looking at his team that he's put out, that's arguably his more sort of complete team 11, really.
Well, if I can ask you for your prediction for this one then, now that you've had a proper chance to look at both teams.
I think on after that compelling analysis, Burn 12-0. No, Burn 2-0.
Burn 2-0. Thoughts on their away kit here?
What, the green and orange?
Yeah.
I think it's all right, actually. Hasn't Ian done one with the old Swan filter tips or whatever it is as the sponsor? It looks with the orange pinstripe or whatever it is. I think it looks quite nice, that.
A couple of 1-1 predictions have come in the chat as we hit 20 minutes already. Both sides look like they're creating, so Bostock very much giving as good as they get. There's a yellow card, I think that was for King.
I'm going to leg it for a beer, Fifey.
Yeah, you go for it, mate, you go. And again, on the stroke of half-time, we get a goal, and it's Anelka. Continues to be a Scott guy. Definitely did not let him down last season with his 9 goals, and that is his 4th of the season already this. And wow, there are not many teams who will... I'm going to use the word dominate. Their numbers aren't massive, Bostock, but they are significantly more than Burn. And Scott is really going to make people take notice if he can carry on putting performances and results like this together, I feel. A lot of free kicks being handed out. Not many yellows. Burn may be considering that the 12 offsides in the first half. So
Jesus Christ, what a miss!
So on the stroke of half time again, Nicholas Anelka opened the scoring this time. And I've just ticked off the match stats. Bostock creating more as well than Burn.
That is a massive shock to me, that.
So I've just literally, as you came back, just ticked over to have a look at Bostock's individual player stats for the first half. It looks like the thing that automatically jumped out at me there was the job that Live and Welsh are doing in that defensive midfield.
Completely agree. I singled those 2 players out as solid but unspectacular at the start of the analysis.
Yep.
Glad I've been proven right on that one. They're obviously just doing an absolute number on Robin and Totti. And perhaps is that a bit of foreshadowing about how to try and close Northern Burn down?
Scott is making the change. Robbie Keane coming off at half time for Saviola as well. So he's clearly going for more goals.
Do you know what? Great substitution. I'd have done that.
And just pulling up a couple of comments in the chat. Ian Campbell, we'll tick over to Northern Burn when I speak about Mr. Campbell's comments. Duggan saying, Scott getting Anelka to be as good as he has is genuinely impressive. Would you agree?
It is, yeah, because I think with Anelka, whenever I've had him on home saves, I've generally had him for like a year, got 20-odd goals out of 40-odd appearances, whatever. And then he's gone, do you know what? I'm unhappy on all this money and living in a nice part of the world and whatever else. I'd rather go and play in North Korea. All right, then. Fuck off.
Ian Campbell said, reiterating a point he made on comms on Thursday, that he feels Sigalko needs dropping for a game. I mean, he's only scored 2 so far this campaign. Another 6 rating at half-time here. Not really contributing.
Sorry, Edwards has jumped in the chat and said he's going as is.
Yeah, he's not really one for a half-time sub. You look in some shock. Is that because of?
Well, I mean, no. Then again, do you know what? I'm looking at his starting 11, thinking, I'd change 5 or 6 of them, and then look at his bench and then say, I'd rather keep with 5s and 6s.
Well, let's. He's going as is. I made the Saviola change, didn't I? Yes.
Yes.
So let's kick the second half off and see if Bostock can maintain their position or perhaps even increase the lead, or will Burn fight back?
I don't know that.
Alexa's randomly started talking to me without me asking her to. Approaching the hour mark, Sigalko having a chance or 2 there, but failing to convert. Bostock coming at the other end themselves. looking to double their advantage. And then 10 minutes flew by with nothing happening.
Massively, yeah.
Which will not please Ian at all. And another 6 minutes have flown by with very little happening.
This could be an absolutely seismic result for the playoff placings. As early as it is in the season.
And as you say that, Totti, I believe direct from the free kick. Oh, it's been me. The referee's ordered a retake. Wow. Ian is not going to be a big fan of Mr. Are we calling him Bezel? Well, he's embezzled now.
Bazal.
That's outrageous.
I tell you what, he's not going to be appearing on a champ calendar anytime soon, is he? Oh my goodness.
And Totti,
that's scandalous. Can we check the match report on that?
We
Fuck absolutely
the stats here. Can.
Wow.
We've reached full time. The official result is Bostock 1, Bern 0. Let's have a look here. So Totti had a go from the free kick, scored, but he ordered a retake, and it doesn't really say why. I mean, the free kick was legitimate because Silvestri clattered into Ljungberg, but Totti was ordered to retake it. The referee clearly was not happy.
Do you know what? I reckon Bostock shithouses, though. The wall wasn't 10 yards away. Totti drilled it underneath. Ref's not happy. Do you know what? Insert your own phrase here. Best phrase gets a free fiver in the post.
Well, I'm already appreciating Martin's VAR stock Stanley.
Well, he's not wrong.
And then
25 free kicks for Bostock. 25.
And then look at this. We got Dimble saying wow, Jens saying wow drama, Scott saying sorry Ian, unreal.
That is a brilliant result. I mean, if you look at that, Bostock were playing rugby, and I think Bern were trying to play football. I mean, 25 free kicks, but then Bern had 20 throw-ins. How many of them went straight out of play? I mean, they were playing for territory, Bostock. Absolute rugby union fiend here. That's ridiculous. I mean, tackles did the two inside centres of Leith and Welsh put in.
So Live completed 10 of 15. Welsh, much quieter, completed 3 of 4.
They're fucking outside and inside flanker numbers, them. That's ridiculous.
The Bostock keeper, Lefopoulos, picking up man of the match tonight for his performance in stopping Bern getting an equaliser. Scott also pointing out Macca as he's picking out the numbers, 18 offsides for Northern Bern.
No, he's definitely playing for territory.
Let's have a look then at Bern. It wasn't a terrible performance by them. It wasn't necessarily as good as some of their other performances have been this season. In terms of chances created, etc. But they were up against an in-form and impressive Bostock side. But if you're Ian, you are going to be frustrated. First, you get what you believe is a champion against the Devils on Thursday, and then you get a goal ruled out for a retaken free kick on the Sunday.
Yeah, excuse me, that was a bit naughty. I mean, with Sigolko and Totti having 6 of your 8 shots, you'd have expected a goal from at least one of those. But again, do you know what? Ian's not going to panic. It's not terminal. He's got enough quality to blow most teams away anyway. I don't think he needs to worry about top 6. The only concern he might have is, are people beginning to potentially suss him out? Does he need to throw us off the scent and mix it up a bit and, perhaps adjust formation? Because I've noticed a trend in Super League in that if a team starts doing something and doing something well, then whenever somebody plays that team, they try and counter it, right? A lot of people would do that. A lot of real life managers do that. Bern, I feel, have been very, very stoic in their approach and kept to that for a long time. So now are people just kind of wising up to that a little bit, would be my question to Ian.
Duggan has asked, when was the last time Bern lost back-to-back games? And to me, it looks like it was here when they lost to Locomotive Boston and then to Duggan himself towards the back end of last season.
Oh, that's why he asked it. Of course he does. Clever boy.
He must have known. Absolutely must have known that stat. Congratulations, though, to Scott. I mean, there'll be a lot of talk about Bern there, but it was an impressive performance by Bostock, and like you said, that's a seismic result in the playoff places.
it just brings it all a little bit closer now. I mean, if Devils win tonight, that's a big old lead for them. But I think just dragging Burn back in a little bit has probably lifted a lot of people's hopes somewhat.
Duggan distancing himself from knowing that stat, saying no, he was genuinely interested. That brings us to Hull's Dudley, which was another one that you mentioned in the introduction. Dudley without Kaladze today, so made a slight alteration. Zanoni coming in, Sergio taking his place on the bench. You've already mentioned it in the introduction, and we've spoke about it in every episode. But Dudley, again, one of these sides much improved. They're currently up in third place in the table. Last time out, they had the win over Sloths in what was a very even game, but they did take the 2-0 lead. Luca Toni surprisingly not on the score sheet, but still at the top of the, or near the top, I should say, of the goal scoring charts early doors. 5 goals in 7 appearances already for him this season. When you see the 11 on paper, can you see why they're doing so well, or is it just perhaps this is Steve's time?
I think they're solid, but maybe a bit unspectacular. Again, there's not a super name on there that jumps out and says, actually, you know what, I'd move heaven and earth to get me in my team. So I would probably put this down to maybe Steve's just got a little bit more tactically astute,
okay,
and sort of understands what players can do what jobs well. So, Zanoni, Tudor, holding that midfield, fantastic, as long as they've got the right instructions on him.
Yep.
Javier Zanetti and Francesco Corco can be flying wing backs, given the license to do that and whatever else. Oliveira and Del Piero, free spirits in AM, they can kind of have a bit of a free roll or a bit more license to do stuff, which is probably explaining the supply line to Tony and the amount of goals he scored. Although Julian Guerrero in centre mid's an interesting one for me. I didn't know if Steve's got better centre midfielders, but it's obviously working, so I'll bow down to his knowledge of this at this point.
The interesting one for me, and again, without going into specifics to try and derail what has been a good start to the season, there was some unannounced publicly news relating to the Dudley Hill captain over the week, which Steve had to deal with, and the fact that he's kept the captain's armband was interesting for me.
Well, what did he get up to? He wasn't nonsense, was he, or anything?
No, it's not my place to say what he was up to, but
is it real life or champ?
No, in this game, in the game.
Right.
While I was doing the team news, something happened to the Dudley Hill captain, but he's kept the armband. Hull's are without Viduka, who's ineligible against his parent club, so they've had to make a change and bring Crespo back in up top.
Absolutely.
Sol Campbell returns from suspension and he's back in the team as well. Other than that, from memory, I think it's as was for Hulls, who got that 4-0 victory over Leddersford last time out. Leddersford, you remember, played this sort of formation.
Nonsense.
The nonsense formation, and had a red card after half an hour.
Well, I mean, the game, you look at it like that, it looks like the game changed.
Sorry, I've just seen Ryan's response.
He's probably got lucky. You look at Hull's last game there. It looks like it turned on the red card. But again, it's that trio in midfield of Milevski, Vogel, Liverani that are probably Hull's strong point at this point. Gerard at AM. I mean, I'd actually rather play Steven Gerrard at AM and give him a go. He's honestly, this guy, he's such a cunt. I remember him at Parma-Panathinaikos. He was just mourning all the time because he couldn't get a game. Yeah, I had Joe Cole, Riquelme, and Nedved, or whatever it was at AM.
Yeah.
Why are you going to get a game? You're a Spanish tosser. See you later. That's for me, looking at this team, possibly the only area I'd be wanting to have somebody a bit more proven. Even try what Dan Megahorse has done at Leddersford, and try somebody like a Petkov in that kind of position, something like that. That's why I said Steven Gerrard or even a John Annalisa or whatever. Oh, he'd normally play Brozek, wouldn't he? Actually,
it would be Brozek, to be fair.
But he's not playing Vitaly Kutuzov. over Gerrard.
No.
It's an interesting one.
Nor Ricardinho.
Who had one brilliant game for Loco and then has done fuck all since.
So now you have seen both teams. Can I ask you for your prediction for this one, please?
I told
This
Swan
could be good.
2-3, but I think it could actually be a draw. Obviously, I make all my predictions without seeing the teams, but I think this will be a.
I do as well, because
I think this will either be a score
get
draw.
access to all the teams, so I always like to send Swan my prediction before I've done any of the team setup.
Yeah, I always thought Hodgie ran stuff, and you ran Devils.
No, you're Macca, not Alf.
Oh, right, okay.
Let's kick the game off. Dudley starting quickest, which is not the first time this season I've said that, but failing to score in the opening 10 minutes despite creating one or two chances. Yellow card or two being handed out nice and early. After a load of red cards in the first couple of games, it seems to have slowed down a little bit. The refs have calmed down, although we have got Brad Mackay, who is well known to the Super League hierarchy as liking a card. Rustico, the latest to get a yellow card. And on 49 minutes, he blows what seemed a very quick half-time whistle. Hull's having the better of the game, but failing to convert. Dudley not quite in their stride just yet.
That could come back to haunt them. If you look at the weather conditions, it says wet 11 degrees.
It does.
Absolute necrophiliac stream that. Bad for sides who want to get down on the deck and play some ball. Oh, Vogel on a 9 but booked. Milewski booked. Obviously sticking the foot in.
And also Candea, who was one of the 4-goal scorers last time out, he's also continuing his good form with a 9. One of the factors which you've kind of already picked up on in the first couple of games is because there was 3 days, I think, between fixtures. A number of players are starting on sort of 95, 93, 92%. Hull's were the only team who had only one player, I think, not at 100%, and that was Panucci. And he's the one.
He's the most gassed.
Yeah. He started on 95. Ryan wants to click on Tolly. So
yeah, I just want to see if he's old enough to go for a beer in the woods. Oh yeah, he's absolutely old enough to go for a beer in the woods. Creativity 20. Passing to, he's still got somewhere to go to improve, but I wonder if he could be a busy little person in AM potentially.
Jens very quickly saying, as is, he's quite content and confident. So let's have a look at Dudley and see what they're doing. The skipper, who I mentioned on his yellow card, not exactly putting in his usual high standard of performance. But if you're Steve, I'm looking at the attacking players and thinking, is it just a case of Hulls are blocking the service to them, or are they not putting in the effort themselves?
Do you know what, I agree with your former comment there. I think they're just being shunned out. I mean, Julian Guerrero, though, is that an 80 fitness?
It is an 80
Guerrero.
Fitness, yeah.
I mean, it sounds like it looks like rather he's kind of put a shift in, but just not really got anywhere with it. Tony has maybe not put much of a shift in, but just been isolated perhaps. I mean, I don't know if bringing on the likes of Amoroso would improve things. Again, this is one of those stick or twist situations where you'd probably be inclined to say, right, well, we're not losing, so maybe just stick for now and perhaps wait for a situation to present itself.
Amoroso being the only attacking option on the bench as well, so if it was something Steve was looking at, he is bringing him on.
I hope he's not listening to me here. I'm just saying this for the bullshit.
Amoroso for who? Right, well, that's honestly terribly written, so hang on. Brilliant. Sergio for I'm presuming that's Guerrero. It doesn't say anything close to Guerrero.
But Amoroso for Oliveira, I think he means. I'm presuming that's Oliveira, Sergio for Guerrero. Yeah, I assume so. Do you know what, right? Do you know what I find surprising? Peroni 620 mils at my local shopper, 2 for £4. And I'm like, how are they making any decent money on that? Considering every fucking Sunday I clean them out of the supply. So odd. I mean, it's absolutely, honestly, it's just wonderful. Ambrosia.
Steve, you could just confirm that the double changes as you've described. I believe I've got it right, that it was Amoroso for Oliveira and Sergio for Guerrero.
Sergio's a DMT, isn't he? Is he not that lad who were at Deportivo?
He is? He was all...
Espanol. Oh, I knew it was a Spanish team. But, yeah. So, very much like Dudley Hill in general.
Well, they're currently above you in the league table.
Don't matter. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Unless you're Kenyan, then it's a sprint.
Okay. He couldn't even put yes, mate, without typing it wrong. Yes, Matt. I wonder how many. I mean,
cheers, Matt.
He's clearly matching you 2 for 1 in terms of drinks, I reckon, at the moment.
Well, if he filled up on the old 10 Magnus for £5 with a club card from Tesco before New Year's Eve, then no doubt Steers bought 400.
And it's the substitute who has
bullshit.
scored for Dudley.
Honestly. Steve Wright, buy a lottery ticket. Jens, Stevie Gerrard, Jens. Stevie Gerrard.
Well, is it Tolly time, maybe?
Or we hashtag Tolly time. Oh.
We have seen when Viduka's been an option that Crespo drops back. So could Flo go up top and Crespo move back?
No, I'd honestly, I'd be whacking Stevie G on here.
Okay. Jens has just reacted with FFS.
No, see what he needs to do is do what I do: get it in around the 4th minute of the actual game, and then everyone thinks you're psychic, and you're like, "Saying
he's going with hashtag Tolly time."
Hashtag Tolly time. All right.
So, are we saying that if he gets a goal or an assist here, then that hashtag is going around all of the clubs on Twitter tonight?
It might have to. Or what was the song by? I don't even know. It was some modern shit. It's all about the Tolly, 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 or whatever people want to do.
You say modern shit? That was Jessie J about 10 years ago.
Was it?
All about the money.
I don't know. I still listen to Ibiza 2006 albums. I don't have time for words that move too quickly in my ears.
Wow. We're on 70 minutes. Dudley continued to be the side more likely, and wow, that time flew by. Let's slow it down for the last.
Jesus Christ, what's happening here? Is Super League just taking a break or what?
There's going to be 2 minutes added on, which we're into already, and there is the final whistle. Dudley maintained their excellent start to the campaign. Hull's hit and miss start also continues. Very even game, so Hulls will be ruining not taking advantage of their first half dominance.
Dudley Hill, the absolute equivalent of a quick wash on a washing machine here. 30 degrees at 30 minutes. Just it sort of gets the job done, but it's not exactly what you need. But you'll move on. You'll take it. You'll wear the shit on a night out. You'll do whatever. You try and chance it, get away with it. That's exactly what Dudley Hill have done here.
Just before I click on the individual player stats, Ryan's pointed out that you sang that at JB's stag do.
Yes. So our mate JB, also aka Jonathan Burke, Johnny Boosh, so on and so on. When did we go to Benidorm? I think it was 2016, and by then it was maybe being pegged as a classic. So that goes to show how shit my memory is. I mean, later that night, actually, I got up to no good. So I'd rather not talk about it.
Don't want to go too deep into that.
No. There's an Irish bar that Ryan kept falling asleep in. That's where we ended
up. That is a story for a Friday night Zoom chat, not one that will live forever on YouTube.
100%.
Kandaya, who I mentioned at half-time, is maintaining his excellent form. He picks up man of the match despite being on the losing side. Tolly didn't really do much in his half an hour cameo.
100% pass completion.
Did get 100% pass completion though. Few yellow cards handed out to key personnel, so Jens will be checking the stats to see if any of them are about to get a suspension. Ultimately, it wasn't an awful performance from Hulls. They've not done a lot wrong to warrant the defeat, have they?
No, absolutely not. This is a proper laptop breaker of a performance, I think. You're at home. You've played plenty of good football. Created enough chances. Think you've got the names on the pitch to do a job. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that Ryan had sent me 3 WhatsApp saying, "Calm down, don't post anything by now." So I totally would understand if Jens was fuming and wanted to stay out in the Norwegian woods for a bit.
Just to point out, Duggan knows more about Stee's run than Stee does, because Duggan's correct. That's now 4 wins on the bounce, and Stee's saying it's only 3.
I don't know. Well, it takes a while to catch up in Yorkshire, doesn't it?
So, let's have a look at Dudley Hill then. The substitutes certainly coming on and making an impact. Amoroso scoring. Sergio, you mentioned as well. You weren't sure, but he's come on. He's made quite a few passes, and importantly, his pass completion was high. Panazzoli continues to do very well between the sticks for him. Rustico certainly improved in the second half, upped his rating to an 8. And again, just looking at the players in that wall of 4, Zanoni and Tudor in particular, getting decent numbers as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's got 8 where he needs them there, hasn't he? Keeper, DMs, he's got 7s on the wings and at centre back. I mean, what more does he need, really? Again, does Steve just go quietly about his business? I mean, I disagree with Ryan at this point. It's like, you can't be lucky after 8 games. That's over a quarter of the season.
So
the third of the season, isn't it?
Here's a question for you.
Yeah.
Unless I'm mistaken, that will now put Dudley above Byrne in the table.
Yeah, they would. No, they're 3 points behind them, so it depends on the goal difference.
I think.
Or are they 2 points behind them? Just click on the table. Fuck it, Pfeiffer. You're the king. You can do what you want. There you go. Oh, fuck no, that looks wrong.
But yes, Dudley are now above Northern Byrne in the league table.
Right, hang on. Edwards, team meeting. Come on, we can't be having these fucking non-European Super League people trying to butt into our shop. We're not having this. Come on, let's get together.
Dimble saying Rustico wants a new challenge because it's too fucking easy at Dudley.
Breakaway Super League. We'll get all the CEOs involved.
We're not going to Fulchester next, so on the list would be Gazelles. So let's do Sloths versus Gazelles next, if we can. Volodenkov, the only absentee for Gazelles, who tweak it tactically again, and they go with, they're still able to put their 3 main men out together. Vieri and Madeira playing as a 2 with Collins in behind.
Do you think this is actually going to work, or has this got Rashford, Ronaldo, Sancho vibes all over it?
Well, to be fair, I also watched Manchester United against Aston Villa last night, and the one who I didn't know, is it Akanda?
Anthony Elanga.
Elanga, he looked quite good, but the established players, you're like, what? Aston Villa.
No, I think Elanga's lively, but no end product. And I was saying that you could mention that about anybody. I mean, Nemanja Matic should be in a fucking again, Friday night Zoom chat. Let's cut it off. This is Super League. This is where players actually do stuff.
Well, indeed. And when you see these players currently representing the team, with all due respect to Duggan, that are bottom of the league, who are you looking at as the players that are going to roll their sleeves up and do something to get them away from that position?
I think it all starts with clean sheets, and Ferdinand and Udeze would be solid enough. I mean, I got to a final with Cannavaro and Udeze, so you're looking at similar quality there. I think Vulgaris is potentially a weak point. Elias is probably the best in DM of them all. Dede is class. Not sure. Medina and Smertin, I've publicly voiced my dissatisfaction with those before, but what we do need to call out here,
okay,
and let's be totally honest about this.
So I need to click on Davy Collins before you say anything.
I couldn't give a fuck about this myth of a cheat codey nonsense bollocks, but what I'm saying generally is that I think Duggan did get a little bit, quite a bit shafted with his team, and he's had to sell a lot of the family silver to buy some family bronze, just to shore up in other areas, and it's not been ideal. I do still think there is a good manager and whatever else, and I think just hypothetically, if there was a redraft, I think we'd see a totally different Duggan team and style of play and whatever else. I think he's just having to very much work with what he's got, and he's not quite managed to find the mix just yet, like say Tato has at Astor. But I think those two lads are in very similar positions. Like there's only real prime example. Sorry, what the point I'm trying to get to is, if I came sniffing after anybody in this team, I'm looking at Vieri and Ferdinand, and that's it.
Okay,
that would be it. And I think that's perhaps
not
Duggan's problem. Is that he's near bargaining power. The man's rocking up to a high roller poker table with like a tenner in his pocket, and that's because someone's given him a tenner rather than he's brought his own money. You know what I mean? It's a bit of a shitter.
Well, when you see the players not involved, is this as strong as it gets for Gazelles? Do you think is there anyone there that you would maybe have included instead, just to strengthen it a little bit?
Do you know what, I genuinely may have given Edmundo a crack. I'd have possibly gone 3 up top, and just to try to play to the strengths I've got. I think Edmundo can be a little bit dangerous. I mean, right wing
away from home as well.
I know they are, but you know sometimes you can play counter-attacking football and whatnot. I guess my overall point is, I'm not trying to blow too much smoke up Duggan's ass, but I really feel for the guy in that he's not got the most overall balanced squad, but he's trying to make it balanced in the way they play. Speaking of Gash, we move on to my favourite targets every time I'm on comms.
I'll just put my feet up for 5 minutes, shall I?
No, do you know what? I genuinely, of all the shit I've given Rob over the years on comms, particularly about Christian Poulsen, let's be honest, I've eaten enough humble pie to amass an incredible American healthcare bill. So I think that front line is actually dirty good. Of Raul, Pizarro, Shearer, Materazzi, Gamara have got stats in the right places. Undaye, even at pushing 34, 35, whatever he might be, can be naughty. The wing backs look weak, but again, they do a job. Like the thing is, I have to totally say at this point in time, who the fuck am I to question Rob when he's there or thereabouts every year with, by all rights, a squad that should be finishing fucking 15th in this league. That's how bad it is.
Well,
so all credit to Rob on this one. I mean, Gabby Milito not playing is nonsense in my eyes, but whatever.
No Milito. Someone you know very well, Valgarin, not in the squad either. Not even made an appearance since you sent him to Sloths.
Or I'd be playing Milito Van Haren all day. That'd be some duo. That I'll take them both back off him if he wants.
Desai as well, who has been a mainstay over the last couple of years, but he's made a couple of appearances this year and been frozen out as well.
Well, he is 104. So there is that. I don't know. Again, Zlatan flatters to deceive on this game. Again, do you know what? This is kind of like battle of the bargain buckets, isn't it? To a degree.
Battle of the bargain buckets. Okay, well, it is Sloths at home to Gazelles. Alf's gone straight in with a 1-1.
That's interesting. I think Sloths will win this.
You think Sloths will win this? Okay.
I'm not sure what score. I can't even remember what I said to Swan, but.
Well, 23 minutes went by with absolutely nothing happening.
Yeah, I mean, this is like penultimate match of the day type game, isn't it? Really. But again, Rob's a good manager. He just likes staying at small clubs.
Pizarro has
there we go.
The scoring
there
for
we
the
go.
hosts.
Babayaro causing havoc when Mark Bosnich isn't there is a fucking sight to behold.
We are approaching half-time. Gazelles were trying to force an opportunity to get an equaliser.
I don't understand. Like, Duggan is a fucking good manager. I don't understand how Gazelles are like bad under his tenure. Like I said, I mean, don't get me wrong. They're not a fantastic starting 11, but they're not bad.
No, and in fairness, they've created 3 shots on goal away from home, 2 of them on target. It's not the worst away performance we've seen from them this season either.
No.
It's just Sloths have been better.
Completed a lot of passes, yeah, but they've lost out on tackles and headers, implying Sloths. Excuse me, Peroni's coming back. Implying Sloths have maybe just been a bit more physical, a bit more aggressive. They're going to end up probably just seeing this game out, I think, aren't they?
Just seeing the game.
I mean, do you know what? And this is, I just think, say if Duggan had my team, he would still be third or fourth. Like you can't throw pelters.
But if you had his team, would they be 14th?
No.
Well, therein potentially lies the difference. So we're having a look at the sloth stats here, and you mentioned Babayaro causing absolute carnage. And there he is with his 9 rating at half-time.
Unbelievable. So I should elaborate, Fife, here. I wouldn't perhaps be 14th because I'd have maybe, if I'd have had the same results, I'd have probably quit by now and then claim that because I didn't see the season out, I never actually finished 14th. So that's what I really mean by that, rather than give it the big time Charlie stuff. What I meant is I would have done absolute shithousery.
Because something I've noticed, and I don't know if it's because of you having because you having Ryan in your corner as well this year, but instead of you doing your best Fifey tribute of saying you're going to lose every week, this, that, and next thing and being all negative, you've actually covered across a bit more Jack the Lad cocky each week, which I'm enjoying.
Sure, though, because that's what I'm like in real life. I just don't want to get absolutely pelted every week when I fucking lose to a 20-year-old game engine that is written on Excel code I still don't understand. Right, anyway, Davy Collins, fucking myth. Drag him off. Fine him.
Well, given that you're like Champ's version of Mythbuster, as for all the positive things you've said about Gazelles, you must hate seeing a team that has Collins and Madeira in the same 11.
I think Madeira at top level can't really do it personally, and that's speaking from my own experience. Obviously, I've not seen enough of him on other people's home saves or whatever it might be. Davy Collins again. I don't know. Some people are, he's fantastic. He's fantastic. There is no way on God's green fucking earth people are lining up with him at AMC when you can sign Totti on a free, sign Robin, sign Hersey, whatever. So don't give me that shit. He's definitely a conference to League One. I'm doing a stream with a clever pun name, whatever the fuck you want to do. He's one of them players, right? He's one of them. He's not an actual, I'm going on this game to win everything player. He's just not. So, unfortunately, Duggan, I disagree with you over that transfer. I do think Madeira at Vieri up top could work. Perhaps even Vieri up on his own, but it's the supply line. The supply line's the weakest thing here. Collins is too selfish, isn't he? Hasn't he got like teamwork about 12 or something?
17.
Yeah, team in his head, one-man team.
So we've got a double substitution here for Gazelle. So Gaitan's coming on for Collins, and Medina moving to the right, and Boateng
Kappa Boateng
coming on for Ka. So that's
do you know what? I just feel in that formation. I know it's a bit 2-6-2-y, but I just feel like one of them 3 DMs could perhaps be pushed up. I mean, I don't know what playmakers. Like, again, you think about Richie Wellens with his. I know he's not super league quality,
sideways passing,
but at least he's retaining the ball. Like, could he do a job? I mean, can you put instructions on him to just play very short passes or just pass it out wide or whatever it might be? I mean, can you do something with Wellens in the middle there where he will pick those right passes out and just get out of those tricky little situations that perhaps Gazelle sometimes find themselves in being overloaded?
Well, both sides have made changes at half-time. So as I kick off, Smuts is asking, is Peroni a truth serum?
It's probably a legal consequence serum, but yeah, not far off.
And Gazelles have equalised through Vieri. It
Fucking
didn't take long at all.
Still love Rob though. Honestly, I'd love to go to Rob's restaurant actually and get him to just. In fact, do you remember what Vic Reeves did to Gordon Ramsay, where he turned up and asked for a fried egg? No, I wouldn't do that. Actually, Rob is a very capable chef to the point where I'm connected with him on LinkedIn. Speaks volumes. Yeah. Oh, he's marvellous.
Well,
there you go.
He's a very capable chef, and he's very capable at making substitutions.
He's a very capable manager as well. Like I said, he's arguably pound for pound up there with Tato as one of the best in the league.
And Torres has.
I think Duggan needs to manage people who are as driven as he is, and he can't manage these dossers. He's too many dossers in his team.
Too many dossers. We are into the final 10 minutes of this match. Gazelle's looking for a second equaliser. Dede moves in on goal, and he has got it.
Oh!
It's 2-2.
Fucking hell. What a result this will be.
But here comes Sloths again, straight from kick-off. And claims for a penalty. The ref says no, he's waved it away. Is the linesman going to get involved? No. Corner kick.
Corner. 3 of added time.
And the Super League continues to deliver. Ooh, the Gazelles there looking to win it. And we're into injury time. And there's the final whistle.
I think a better point for Gazelles than Sloths. But if we look at the stats, Sloths don't need to be worried about that. It's just one of them, isn't it?
I think it's an important point for Gazelles, and I think it gives them something to build on. But the fact that they are still, as Duggan said, they've not kept a clean sheet all season. I think that's
no. But do you know what? His changes at half time has really brought his team back into it. So I think Duggan needs to take a bit of credit for that. I think again, Rob has somehow got one of the worst teams on paper in the league, always scoring goals for fun. I do genuinely, snidey sort of piss take remarks aside, I do want to give credit to both managers here because they're both like cornerstones of Super League and both always deliver entertaining games, whether dishing out hide-ins or on the end of hide-ins. So fair play. Do you know what? I actually really enjoyed the second half of that game.
I definitely, and in an age we live in where professional teams are getting games called off needlessly, it's nice that we're able to put on 7 fixtures twice a week and get this level of drama and commitment from.
It is, especially when we're pumping out every fucker's reserves in this fixture. Right, do you know what, Fifey? I'll let you go on to the next game. I'm going to get another one.
Okay, no worries. Well, to be fair, I'm not sure if we'd even got as far as showing the Gazelle stats. I'll just do a quick tick over there. So Boateng certainly, well, he got a 7 rating. Oh, it's because I'm on the second screen. I was like, how's he not done anything? Boateng coming on and making an impression, but Day it was with the late equaliser and picking up man of the match. Ratings certainly improved throughout, although the likes of Madeira keeping his 6 certainly need addressing. But yeah, I stick by the point. I think it's a good
result. This as well.
Yeah, go for it, mate. Go for it.
All right, same nice one.
And just seeing Duggan put in here, Ferdinand has been fucking awful for so long, it's ridiculous. Let's move on, and it's Churchtown versus the Devils. And I think this could be a lot more interesting than perhaps some give credit for, because Churchtown, as we know, are normally very good at home. They're going a bit sort of old school Rapid Apollo for those of us long enough in the tooth to remember it. Some interesting arrows in the attacking areas with Stanic and Agahawa. But sticking with this narrow, which Dimble certainly seems to think suits his squad better. Van Bommel partnering Riquelme in central midfield. And it's nice to see that Hussein maintains his... that was quick.
I'm glad speed impresses you, Fifey.
Just commenting on Churchtown. So we've got Churchtown versus Devils. Hussein got promoted from the reserves and he scored on his first start last time out in the 1-0 win over Loco. He continues to lead the line in this, what I described as a bit of a... Were you around at the time of Rapid Apollo, or was that a bit before you?
No, I was watching Super League-ish when Ryan was first kind of involved and mentioned it. I do remember this sort of narrow formation on and various formations with mad arrows.
Yeah, so
to try and create the width as you were attacking.
I can't remember who was here, but Cafu was pulling unbelievable numbers in this position.
Andreas at what were they called? I can't remember the name they were called, but Andreas, the Swedish lad, he played something very similar to this and had Cafu doing absurd numbers at Tomasi's position.
Yeah.
Valen, that's what they were called, Valen.
Yeah.
And then he'd, in the same breath, when you were like, look, fantastic, send him a DM, fantastic performance from Cafu there, like unbelievable. He'd just go, also Saha for, Veron and Ferdinand, and you'd be like, no, I'm all right, mate. I'm okay. I'm all right. I'm literally just providing some analysis here. Like, well done. Sound. And it'd just be, you're a fucking mug. Well, I'm not a mug though, am I? Really? But okay.
What have you made? So Churchtown find themselves 10th at the moment. 1-2 drawn 2, lost 3, scored 4, which is the lowest or joint lowest, I should say. With
Can I be a bit of a pain here, Fivey? Could you on the view do home form and away form so I can see where Churchtown bounce up and down?
Yep. So Churchtown sit 8th. 3 games at home this season.
1-1.
1-1.
Okay.
Scored 1, conceded 2. And then away form, they dropped to 12th. Again, very similar at 1-1-2.
1-1-2.
Scored 3, conceded 4.
So I was going to say, I would, if I'm Dimblay at Churchtown, I would take solace in the fact that if he looks back a couple of seasons, I played 26 games and I basically fucking won 13 and they were all at home. And I drew two and lost 11 away and still snuck into the playoffs. So if he can recreate his home form and win, the majority of his games at home, he will definitely be in with the shout. Because, as we've seen, it doesn't need 50 points to get into 6th. You generally need 30 odd, which can generally accrue by winning a lot of your home games, which, Dimble has been very, very good at doing.
Yeah.
I do think, actually, he's got a better core of a team from what I can see here than, a couple of the sides we've just seen play and play an absolutely fantastic game.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about the formation, if I'm completely honest.
Okay.
But I think there's enough to work with there.
Especially, I would agree when you consider, they might not be established Super League names by any stretch, but, when you've got Palermo not even in the squad, Davis.
Dorney's not bad.
No, Donny as well. He's got Mendes on loan, who hasn't featured yet as well as defensive cover, as well as Babel.
He's got Roberto Carlos.
Carlos is there as well. Not yet featured this season. There's definitely talent there, isn't there?
Yeah, Agahowa, I chuck him in the myth category for me. I've never seen him do anything on anything ever. Although I do think maybe one year he scored for his Gazelles against Fulchester or something like that. Prick, whatever it was. But again, I think where maybe Churchtown are lacking here is they're possibly quite similar to ourselves in that they've got a decent sort of rest of the field, but they haven't got a proper top forward that maybe will bang the goals in, or a forward that's knocking on the door and will score 25 a season like Michael Owen once he's
Well, speaking of forwards who will bang them in, and Penza continues to be injured, as does Nesta, and Soroczynski is added to the absentee list as he's suspended for this fixture. His place is given to Emerson, who had been playing in the attacking midfield role last couple of games. That's been given to Tonton Zola Makoku.
That's an interesting one. Do you know what? I've always thought the Devils are mega strong everywhere, but that kind of, I don't know if they've not got another left wing back and maybe play Kuehl and Aymar and AMC.
Diaz is the natural choice there.
Do you know what? See, I'd have been inclined to. Well, I don't know. I'd have been inclined to actually play Diaz there. Or you've got Etu. You've got Etu as well.
Diaz is what I think is being classed still at this juncture as a Fifey player. He's there to make up the numbers because Zauri's obviously the one who's been there the start season, but he got the long injury. So Diaz is there to make up the numbers. I think you're right. Etu's another player. He hasn't featured this season. He could quite easily have played there. Mido hasn't featured this season. Gets very limited game time, but when he does play, last year,
generally does
4 goals in 4 starts.
Can't
do much.
You can
more.
see my point though, can't you? That there is a bit of strength, throughout different areas in that. Don't get me wrong, right? Hodgie has won more games in Super League than I have. I think that's been statistically proven by Swan and everybody else. But I don't know. I just feel like the team he's put out tonight is not his strongest team. But then again, he may be just be playing a team that he thinks will win the game. So again, I sort of bow down to Hodgie on this one. I wouldn't have played Moukoko. I never would play Moukoko at this level. But
Hodgie has also just put in the chat as well the one that I was about to say, that he could have always played Van Bronckhorst there and let Oyo or something play there as well.
Well, Oyo is probably a downgrade on Van Bronckhorst, so from that perspective, I get it. Barry Ferguson at DMC can do a job, actually.
Especially if you put a diagonal arrow on him.
Well,
and yes, I don't know if it's common knowledge, Ryan, but this one goal in this season here was Mido scoring in the grand final for my Devils team against the Dragons. So yeah, I'm not sure if people know it, but he has scored in the grand final before, and so definitely would have been an option.
Hodgie's saying Kuhl's been decent at left wing back.
He has, and I used to play him out there as well.
Yeah, do you know what? I don't know. I couldn't bring myself to do that.
So we know at the moment, so they are top of the table, and regardless of what happens, providing they don't get just trying to work out what the difference would be, as long as they don't lose by 2 or more, they will end the night top regardless.
Burn have lost, haven't they? So.
Yeah, but Dudley won, so they're on the same points.
Dudley Hill are on 16.
Yeah, because they won. We've just watched them win.
I know, but reboot, honestly. Oh, nah. Right. Okay. Right, yeah. So I think Devils will be fine here. To be fair, again, Hodgie's rotating his players. I mean, Churchtown's home record. This could be a reasonable game, but I just feel perhaps Devils have got too much in the right positions to get the required result here.
I think the thing with this is, I like that Churchtown are doing this narrow, but a lot of Devil's strength is out wide, and I don't think Churchtown are necessarily counteracting that to their fullest.
You've eloquently put what I was trying to say, glugging Peroni.
Well, we've kicked this one off. A little bit of action in the opening 10 minutes, which is nice, not for it just to all fly by with nothing happening. And there's an injury, and it's Makoko who picks up the injury. I imagine
Gran
it's
or
be Gran. Unless, of course, he now wants to do that, and Kuhl moves up there, and Van Bronckhorst out here, and Oyo comes in.
Ferguson drops it, or whatever. Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I'd be kind of inclined to do that.
Yeah.
But it's not my team. I mean, saying that, if Hodgie ever moves on, I might fucking take the Devil's job. Some team there.
It's tainted.
No, do you know what? It's like the Chelsea job. You get all these managers coming in, they always still win everything.
It is the straightforward change of Gran coming on.
Oh, I thought you meant Carberry then. I was getting hungry.
A bit peckish as well.
Do you know what? Toby Carberry's unfairly knocked by the middle classes. My wife will refuse to eat it.
Oh, I love a Toby Carvery, mate.
I fucking love it, mate. I absolutely love it. Do you know what? One day I was that hungover I could not drive. I walked up to the Toby Carvery about 3 miles away from my house and fucking absolutely demolished everything I could see. It was unbelievable. And then I had a few pints to take the edge off and walk back. And unfortunately, that was a Monday. I think it was a Monday after a Super League Sunday as well.
Churchtown have picked up an injury themselves here, with Hakan Mild having to go off just before half-time.
Straight for Petrov.
I imagine it's going to be for Petrov. I'm just waiting for Dimble's confirmation. Is Dimble been in the chat? Oh no, he's going Mendes de Silva, not. I
was going to say I'd have gone Mendes de Silva. You know, I think for me Petrov replaces Van Bommel or Riquelme if something happens to them.
Hodgie saying Partridge-esque. Mendes de Silva then.
Do you know what? Right, Hodgie, you bang on there, because a colleague of mine who's now moved companies. Bless him. He used to always say, I'd come out with comments like that, and he'd always just set like in a little team WhatsApp, and he'd always send me a gif of the fucking partridge doing something.
We have reached half-time, and other than the injuries, not much else has happened, but Churchtown have been relatively impressive in the way that they've restricted Devils.
Yes, very much so. This is a bit of a surprise. Well, not quite a surprise, actually, thinking about it. So, like I said, I don't think Devils are potentially playing the strongest lineup available to them. But what has surprised me is Churchtown having more shots and them all being on target and completing more passes and winning more headers. I thought that would have been maybe Devils' bread and butter.
Yeah.
And perhaps Devils would have just been missing that cutting edge of Mpenza up top. But Churchtown are well within this. Dario Hussein, however you pronounce it, is having a very, very, very good game. William Vialli at the back's doing all right. Everybody else is putting a shift in. Again, if you Dimble at this point, you kind of You don't want to change anything else, do you? You just rock on with it.
Yes, I would be inclined to stick with this myself. I would.
Hang on, who's Andrew Allen? Is he a Dudley Hill massive? Hill lost
he's a massive Dudley Hill fan.
Hill lost 7-0, mate.
Dimble confirming it's as is. So let's move over to what Hodgie's describing as the dull Devils. Say that they've been dull of late.
He's top of the fucking league, though, isn't he?
He is top of the league, and you would certainly take being top of the league and boring than entertaining and mid-table.
Correct, because that's where me and Ryan find ourselves.
You're fourth.
That's mid-table. When you want standards, Fifey, that's mid-table. Absolute mid-table.
Finishing top of the league last year's changed you.
It's made me an unsufferable cunt.
It's fine without being exceptional, I think is the right way to describe Devils, who are also going as is.
That is an excellent way to put it, Fifey. Very astutely put. So this is anyone's game, isn't it?
And it's Hussein scores for the second game in a row.
Hussein in the membrane.
And now Terry has picked up an injury. Well, it's got to be Mendes dropping back this time. And
still Ian.
Now, I can't remember the maths. If Churchtown score again, are we saying Dudley Hill could end the night top of the league?
Yes. Because that would give Dudley Hill a goal difference of +5 and Devils one of +4.
Wow.
From what we just looked at. Wow. And do you know what? There is nothing I would like to see more than a Steve Wright video not being apologetic for being shit, but for just singing "We Are Top of the League" once with a Magnus in the office.
Well, he refused to comment on it after being top. Was it game week 1? They won the opening game week and they were top of the league, and he refused to even acknowledge it.
I mean, if I was him, I'd just at the top of the league, I'd start sending viruses to your computer and just crack on. Just say, "Oh, I've won it then." Huh?
And it's 2-0. Oh, but it's been decided.
Fucking hell!
And Devils equalise off the post through Kesman. And there's a yellow card.
Look at this. I'm actually moving to the edge of my seat here.
I know, I can see you. You've sat up and everything. And 10 minutes flew by without anything happening.
Do you know what? You can never rule Devils out, can you? They've just always got something in them. Do you remember the banter? Do you remember the banter of me playing one at the back against you and I got twatted 4-0 or whatever it was? That was funny, wasn't it?
Good times.
Well, not really. I think I was late for work the next day, if you get my drift.
I do, very much so. And here comes Churchtown. And they scored! It's Agahawa! It's first ever goal for Churchtown.
He's supposed to have a goal in Super League, isn't he?
And it's full time. So nobody else can see this, but Mac has been fairly relaxed all night, led on his sofa. He's literally sat up facing forward into the camera for this game and is now sat with both hands over his mouth and massive eyes of disbelief. Congratulations to Churchtown, who have won this game 2-1. To literally, I mean, the perfect way to sum up what Macca's face is saying is Ryan and Mega Horse both just putting wow. And it's fair to say,
all they deserved it, Macca. And this is what I was saying to Leonidas Dombalon, that he 100% should back his home form. He will get in the playoffs based on home form alone. It is possible. Home form alone, the brother of Post, it's possible.
I was trying to, while you were saying that, I was trying to work out how I was going to get a Macaulay Culkin reference in behind. But yeah.
I mean, this day and age, it'd probably be a fucking blowjob tape, wouldn't it? I mean, it's disgusting the way the world's gone. Horrible. Who's had the assists here? One for Tomasi and one for Juan Roman Riquelme. Absolute boss of a player. I don't understand why he's a myth in Super League. He's class.
What, Riquelme?
Yeah. Love him.
It's just one of those players that never seems to hit the heights that people expect.
Do you know what? I reckon if somebody could put together a midfield of Veron, Aymar, Riquelme and fucking Undayi behind them or whatever, they would never need DMLs, DMRs or MRs or NLs, whatever, ever again. It'd just be elite.
So Tato believes that Dudley might actually now be top of the league on goal difference. Do we dare have a look?
Yeah, go on. Let's have a nosy. Let's send Steve off happy to bed.
Okay. I mean, obviously we'll see at the end anyway. But
yeah, but I mean, he might be. I mean,
Dudley
if he starts
Hill
now, he
are
might
officially top of the league.
Well,
there you go.
I mean, enjoy it, drink it in. You'll never see anything like this in your life again, Martin Tyler.
Let's have a look at the Devils' side. Aymar with a 5.
That's unusual. I mean, considering how busy he's been, he's had 20 out of 30 passes though, which isn't great. Don't get me wrong. He's not won. Well, obviously he's not won any headers. He's about 5'2", but he won 2 tackles. Interestingly enough, I don't know if that's possibly a bit harsh looking at his stats though. He's probably been penalised for his passing somewhat, and I suspect he's been trying to put it on a plate for Kesman more often than not.
Yep.
Again, you look at the rest of the team. Would a draw have been a potentially fair result? Or, well, it felt like Hodgie would have nicked one. But again, like I said about Ian Edwards at Burn earlier, Hodgie would just go, all right, fine, yeah, whatever.
These things happen.
8 games in, 16 points. I'm still going to fucking beat all of you in the next 20 games anyway, so it don't matter.
Just looking at the individual performances, I mean, Kesman only had 1 shot in the game, Barry having 1 shot, Kieran Dyer having 2 from wide, but none of them being on target. Hodgie mentioned earlier that they'd been dull. He's not working in a 2, and Penza doesn't
either. Yeah, maybe.
It is interesting to see how, when there's key personnel missing, how things change. So normally Hodgie had been playing that wall of 5 and then just having Aymar behind and Penza, knowing he can just leave them 2 up there and they would do everything he needs. And Penza's missing. Suddenly he's playing 2 behind Kesman. Perhaps he doesn't believe Kesman's conversion rate can match that of Penza's, so he needs a bit more. And that's what's opening up. I mean, I mentioned the fact that I didn't think Churchtown were protecting the width, because normally Kieran Dyer and in this case Harry Kewell is where most of the product comes from for Devils. But I mean, Kewell and Dyer have played all right, but Churchtown have stifled them to creating not a lot really, and have won the game by simply outworking them and outplaying them.
Although you say that, the Devils won more tackles and committed a touch more fouls. So I'm inclined to think, bizarrely, somehow the Devils have won maybe the midfield battle. But if you look at the throw-ins, they've been pushed out wide, which would make sense given they play with the wing backs.
Yep.
3 off-target shots, that could be what's pushed them out. I mean, not winning headers either. I mean, overall, it's not the end of the world. And to be honest, Burn also losing probably makes it a lot easier for Hodge to just go, all right, yeah, whatever. I don't think it is terminal. And Dudley being drawn in, sipping on that rarefied air, getting a nosebleed, being up there, I think they'll end up making a mistake and doing something gash eventually. So no danger to the likes of you big clubs like myself and Burn and Devils, really.
Just linking the comment Hodgie's made in the chat to what you were saying earlier about levels, etc. I am going to pull Hodgie up there. He said we played well but lost to the better side. The second part of that is true, but you didn't really play that well to have only created... A Devils team only creating 4 chances is not playing well, with the players available at his disposal.
No, do you know what? I disagree. I think every now and again you come across a team that plays absurdly well at home. I was that team a couple of seasons back. Dimble's obviously that team now. To still create 4 chances against a team as imperious at home, I think is still no mean feat. You've got to bear in mind that's 2/3 of the chances that the home team created, and they're allegedly meant to have the advantage on this kind of thing. So therefore, I put it one way. If I was Hodgie and looking at that team tonight, I'd be like, all right, do you know what? Fine. We got beat 2-1, but it's not the end of the world. It wasn't a shit performance. It's not like it was littered with 4s and 5s and 6s.
No, correct.
And also, we're still on 16 points. Yep. There is no danger here, especially when they know they are capable of battering most teams around them anyway. And I think as much as I'm giving it large, I'm on whatever it is, 11 points. Got to play a Haggis, but I think some of my next games are like somewhat ridiculous, like Dudley, Burn, and then Devils.
Well, we'll be able
So
to check that
I
out.
could be miles away.
Be able to
Exactly.
check that out in a minute for you. We are on the penultimate game of the evening. We are showing Leddersford here, and they are away to Astor. Now, interestingly, it's assistant manager Mike Savage taking the reins for this one, and he has put forward a completely different tactic. Leddersford deflowered, and this is what it looks like.
Somebody with maybe more champ knowledge than me, could they explain why the Ambrosini arrow into Alex is anything other than trying to like overload one position? I don't get
there was
that.
a lot of things that interested me about this. So, and working forward, I was interested
Kivu and
that.
Brown need to be swapped over,
Well, see,
surely.
this was the first thing I picked out is that Brown and Kivu are the wrong way round for me.
Yeah, so's Ronaldinho and Van Nistelrooy, because Ronaldinho's a forward left centre.
Yes. Well, see, the Ronaldinho one I'm okay with because although he is a forward left centre, he's actually right-footed.
Yeah, but in his positioning on the editor or whatever, and Dan will know this as an astute, studier of the editor. Is like forward left will be 20, his forward centre will be 20, his forward right will be nothing.
But
so his AM
also,
centre or whatever is going to be next to whatever. Bullshit.
It's also the position that I used to play him at Devils when I played the 3 behind 1. I always had him on the right-hand side.
Yeah, but you didn't win the whole thing with him playing in that position there, did you? You switched it up a bit.
He was a significant part of the squad, yes.
Yes, but he didn't do his best damage there, did he? I don't think he. Don't get me wrong, I'm happy to be corrected on this one, just because I've already admitted my memory's shite. My memory's shite for about this season.
I mean,
I'm not saying his stats. No. Listen, I'm not saying his stats are bad. I'm just saying in those games where those 27 games where he scored 8 goals and 4 assists, and the next season whatever, he wasn't playing all his time at AMCR or whatever that position would be known as.
And
no, exactly. No, that's my point.
He's actually playing up front. Normally for Leddersford, he's playing up front.
I mean, it's ambitious. I mean, Van Nistelrooy without an arrow there, I'm not sure what they're going to do. I mean, this is a very
the lack
unique
of arrows
formation.
generally. The lack of arrows generally surprised me. I mean, there's nothing here for the wide men. There's nothing here for the attacking players to go forward.
Yeah,
like I say, the only one is Ambrosini, and it surprises me a little bit.
I'm not saying Savage doesn't know anything, but this just looks a bit awkward to me. There doesn't look fluidity within this. There doesn't look
because of the
like attacking football. It just looks almost very like sensible soccer, basic fucking 1994 stuff.
Does it kind of give the feel because they are, because they've scored so few goals, especially after the heights that they reached last year? Is this almost a case of we're just going to throw as many of the sort of big name attacking players in as we can and see what works?
Could have done, yeah, but do you know what? I mean, like I said, I'd have swapped Kivu and Brown over immediately. I'd have probably put Paredes or Owen Hargreaves alongside Ambrosini at DM, or even Petkov and Ambrosini. Pat Zazoglu can play DM or wing back. I'm not sure he's that great as a wing back. I just feel, maybe a narrow formation here would actually have been better. Ronaldinho, Van Nistelrooy up top, because there's not. I mean, well, Neri Castillo there for the left, but I'm not sure I'm seeing anything. Didier get on the right, perhaps. I don't know. I'd have probably tried to have been a bit more expansive with this and made sure I'd have got Nistelrooy and Ronaldinho up top in a 2, actually.
And just as you're giving this insight, Ryan's put, I respectfully disagree, Macca, this could work, and Tato's put, probably will work, to be fair.
Well, that's for an 8. Like I said, don't get me wrong, Ryan's won 2 Super Leagues, and he's obviously improved with our discussions, the amount of chances we're creating. Tato at Astor is absolutely turning sow's ears into silk purses every week. So maybe I just need to shut up about it. But do you know what I mean? I'm still learning about this game. 21 years later or whatever it is, I am still learning about this game. And if I'm wrong about Leddersford's formation, sorry, the Perron is kicking in now, then so be it.
Astor stick with their formation but make a couple of changes. Neil Scally unavailable. sees Foe join Johnson in the defensive midfield positions.
Neil who?
And
Neil
I believe
who?
a man that you've spoken quite publicly about, Thierry Henry, dropped to the bench.
Yep.
Tato is being far from impressed by his big summer signing. Lee Chun-so given the opportunity to deputise for him.
That's an interesting one. I think, though, Henri, and this was proven by Ryan and myself at Phoenix and Parma, respectively, I think he's very much a big game player in that, you know, if you're there or thereabouts in the playoff positions, he will do fuck all for the best part of 20 games. But then those next 10 games where you're pushing for, you know, vital points and trying to get into the playoff positions, and then the playoff games themselves, all of a sudden he'll come alive, score 12 goals and make it look like he's had a worldy season. When in fact, he's just literally, you know, lit the touch paper and cracked on. So I think that's the problem with Henry on this game. He does it in sort of fits and starts rather than a bit more consistently, which is obviously an absolute absurd opposites to how his career went, because he banged 40 a season in forever.
And a word on the on loan Fulchester man, who's having a very good season.
He is, and do you know what? I'm glad he is. He's not. I mean, don't get me wrong. The stats wise, I had Balharan better as Vrede. Yepes was better than Vrede. We brought Curtis in, who we know can go absolutely unreal. I was quite happy for him to leave on loan. I'm glad he's doing a job at Astor. You know, he's still local, which is always a benefit. I'm glad he's getting a game. You know, and it is making me think about next season, to be fair. I mean, I know there might be some transfer difficulties over about I can't get my words out. Over about making it permanent to Astor. But you know, we'll see what we can do. But I am glad he's getting a run of games, because he does deserve it, and he is a decent defender, and he's got stats in the right places.
Absolutely. Well, it is the penultimate game of the night, so can I ask you for the prediction, please?
I mean, well, I was going to say Astor over Leddersford, but now two of the gurus have gone Leddersford's formation could work. I'm not sure. I'll go for a 1-1 draw.
A 1-1 draw. Well, we kick off, and straight away Chun-Su in the action for the home side, but failing to convert. Plenty of action in the opening 5 minutes here in this one. I'm sure a victory for Astor will top off an excellent weekend for Tato after the news that Benitez got sacked. But Nicky Ferenco's goal has been disallowed for Leddersford, who continue to come forward. And they've created a couple of opportunities, but failed to convert. And now Astor...
Given the state of Everton at the minute, I don't think it would be too far to assume that... I keep saying Astor as if he's one person. That Tato would actually do a better job than Benitez. I don't think he played 2-7-1, but he'd get close.
So we are at half time. It is 0-0. Astor 2 shots on goal, none of them on target. Leddersford have had some shots on goal. Mr. Savage will be delighted to see. They've also had a couple of throw-ins, which I know is a massive thing for Team Leddersford. Just failing to convert the chances.
Well, basically, yeah. That's quite a funny one. Obviously, I didn't understand the initial formation, but the finer champ minds of the community understand it better than I. They said it'd work. It looks like it is working. I'm not sure what else you do it. I mean, Rossini and Chun-Su and Zizi have all been starved of service.
Johnson and Foe are doing a good job in the holding midfield positions.
They are. They're doing fantastic. I mean, I'm not really sure if you maybe change Henry for Rossini at best, or Henry for Chun-Su. But again, there's almost not much wrong with Astor's play here. They've just been maybe stifled or held up a little bit by this new obscure Leddersford tactic.
Well, it's as you've said there. So Rossini off for Henry, but there's a double change because Emre is also coming on for Emerson.
Well, can we also point out former chairman Martin Patterson is already cheering on my opponents before the game's even on. I mean, that's the equivalent of Galatasaray lighting flares outside of Old Trafford and so on and so on. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Let's have a look at the Ledesford team. I've seen Dan in the chat. I'm not sure if Mike's about, so maybe Dan is taking charge on game day.
Mikhail Salvadra. Yeah, he's about. Or he was earlier. Maybe I've waffled on too long. Do you know what? I'm going to do comms every week then, so I just drag everything out so nobody can make changes. They all fall asleep.
Not at all.
Look at Mithy Ferenko there. He's done fuck all. Not even had a shot.
Well, he did score, to be fair.
No, he didn't. It's 0-0. Oh, God. I hate Nicky Ferenko.
It's also worth pointing out, as many have done before you, that this is possibly the worst Nicky Ferenko most people have seen.
Well, because that's what he's like all the time.
Just having a look. Petkov continues to be the star man. Ambrosini, who seemed to be somewhat frozen out at the start, he's come back. He was probably their best performer in the heavy defeat midweek, and he continues to be a good performer now.
We've just been told Ferenko off. I completely agree with that.
Nobody on, because it would make absolutely no difference. There we go. Hargreaves. So Hargreaves playing in the attacking midfield position? Or is Alex going to move forward? Martin's saying Nicky Ferenko, absolute myth.
Yes, don't worry, I've misinterpreted. We are kindred spirits after all. Myself and Mr. Petterson.
Mike, if you can just confirm that you want Alex to swap
places.
He
said straight swap. I mean...
Has he?
Yeah, he literally said, after I went, kindred spirits, Martin, I knew it.
Yeah, it's just popped up there.
So he said, Mikhail Savage, straight swap.
Okay, straight swap it is. Let's see how that affects things as we kick off the second half. A couple of fouls being given in the first 5 minutes of the second half. Still no goals as we pass the hour mark, though. Asta is currently creating. Emre and Omri getting involved. Excuse me.
Beer time. Oh, this is finishing 0-0. Boring sides.
It's not finishing 0-0 because Emre has scored his first ever goal for Asta.
I told you, he's a fucking player, is Emre.
In off the post. And, well, what are Ledesford made of now? Omri couldn't keep it down as they look to double the lead.
I swear to God, Tato's genetically engineering these lot.
Oh, Van Nistelrooy on a follow-up. Good double save from the goalkeeper. Frede, Hansho and Foe looking to keep the ball for the home side now.
Oh, they've won it. They've nicked it.
As we move into injury time, Kivu, Van Nistelrooy, Ronaldinho hits the bar. And there is the final whistle. It's finished.
Absolute Athletic Ronnie 1, Biggs.
Ledesford 0. And
absolute Ronnie Biggs.
I mean, congratulations to Asta for the victory. A draw, I would suggest, was probably a fair result, looking at those statistics.
I'm just gonna take a minute to realise I'm below Asta in the table. Sorry, Fafi. Genuinely, you still? Oh shit! I've not put myself on mute, man.
No, you're not on mute at all.
Oh, okay, good. I might have. Well, I should have been on mute actually for what I'm thinking. This is one of the most depressing results I've ever bore witness to. In
what respect?
In what respects? In that the league was full enough with Lokomotiv Boston producing this kind of bullshit, right?
Yeah.
It had a bad guy, right? We didn't need another pantomime villain. Everyone was happy to say Tato was doing well and, he was getting the best out of a bad squad and all that kind of stuff, right? That narrative was fine. It was perpetuated almost, by me more than others. That's, it is what it is. But this performance, no.
You got a bit Paolo Di Canio on us there.
I'm sorry, Tato. Like, I am gonna fucking spike your drinks next Friday. 100%, mate. You're getting a gin dropped in your lager. Like, this is bullshit, mate. And you know
Honcho with a very impressive 10 out of 10 performance.
Honcho with a bullshit. It's bullshit. This is I've had enough of this game, honestly.
Emre coming off the bench to rate a 9 as well, scoring the winner.
I know, and do you know what? The worst thing is, right? I sold David Day.
Yes, something Ryan's pointed out.
Out of sympathy. We've loaned Vrede out of sympathy. You know, the old M28 connection. I just, do you know what? Again, I like Tato. I really do. And I had a soft spot for Tato's Asta. But this kind of result, this is, you know, you either lose long enough, or sorry, you know, you win enough to be the bad guy. Do you know, I can't even make up the Batman phrase, but basically, you've won too much now. You're the bad guy. That's it. I'm sorry, Tato.
Let's have a look at Leddersford then, who were in their altered tactic. Petkov continues to be the star man for Leddersford. Again, his ratings don't show exactly what he does for the team.
Is he really a star man then?
But
he's averaging 6.71.
I think in terms of, if you look at his consistency since he was signed as a relative unknown as well, in Super League standards, that is, I think he's done remarkably well. Ambrosini as well got his 9 rating, so that's an 8 and a 9 so far in his 2 appearances. So he's brought in and proving a point, but other than that, it's average at best, really. I think that there was a lot of talk between, particularly me and Ryan was doing it in the chat lap midweek, and I was doing it live in the studio, about Wes Brown needs to be more involved.
He does. Wes Brown's class. He should be playing every game.
Start, and he's got an 8 rating there.
Well,
no real surprises. Winning 7 of 10 tackles, 50% of his headers as well.
Do you know what? I think this is probably Leddersford's best performance in the last few games, and they've just been very unfortunate to be on the receiving end of that level of A580 shithousery. So, for those of you who are familiar with your air roads, you'll know what that means.
The thing with Leddersford is that,
do you know what? You'd be inclined to go with it again, because it's beat a informed team that has done well pretty recently in terms of possession and shots and that kind of stuff. I mean,
yeah,
you'd be inclined to go with it again, particularly at home.
Okay.
For me, it's not the end of the world.
That brings us on to the final game then. And
yeah, also I appreciate it's past a lot of people's bedtimes. I do apologise for waffling on, but just, I mean, this is the only soapbox I get every now and again. You've got to give it to me. That's it,
mate. I'm happy to stay on
once every 8 weeks. Once every 8 weeks, boys. I mean, I've still got a beer left in the fridge, actually. In fact, you know what? Can we just give me 30 seconds, Mikey? I promise. You talk through haggis and the state that Ian's generally in.
Well, despite Macca's apologies, I'm happy to still do another 45 minutes with him if so needed for this last game, because I always find him very entertaining to do comms with. Haggis, Ian was obviously on comms midweek, less than happy with the performance in the 2-0 defeat to Bostock, and there is an alteration of tactics. We're doing the Haggis Fulchester trial this time round. He'll be looking for more from Yeremis and Helguera this time out, a bit more of a shield for Samuel and Stam. Shevchenko and Sahar continue to be the preferred partnership up top. Alan Smith continues waiting in the wings. Rosicky charged with being the supply line for his second appearance of the season. Macca has returned. You can see the team on the screen. Is there anything there that concerns you at all?
The Mendieta into Rosicky Arota same position thing, actually, because I think we've got defenders man marking or at least man for man position setup, whatever it might be, between Sahar and Shevchenko. So we'll see how we get on there. I think I've got one DM. I think I've got Nicky Butt playing there, which is why Mendieta maybe pushing on that could be difficult. But in theory, that should then allow my MCs and AMs and then the forward to get in. I think Mickey Owen could be in for a hard time between Samwell and Stam.
Yep.
But that's why we've got CC on the bench as well to add a bit of nasty Anelka Diet Max.
So just the one change from memory for you guys. It was actually just a change on the bench. It was just Cisse in place of Trezeguet.
Yeah, this is spot on. I wanted to bring Cisse in over Trezeguet because Trezeguet can be hit and miss. Generally, when he complains, he then comes back in and does something well. So I'm going to wait for him to complain. He's almost like a Audi and Elka at this point. But Cisse has done all right again. He's got a lot of pace. He gives me the option to replace him above Owen, Nedved, Ronaldo. I mean, if one of the midfield four get injured, then I'm going to have to do some shuffling about. But other than that, I hope this is a game on the front foot. We're attacking, we create more chances like we normally do, and we hopefully come away with the 3 points. The very important 3 points at this point in time because nobody wants Dudley Hill to win it.
Interesting question. Can we check to ensure? No, I can't. Ryan, we can't click on individual in the live game. If you've put them on man, then they will be assigned man.
I'm pretty sure I did that, or unless if Ryan hasn't, for fuck's sake. But we'll crack on. I mean, I'm saying that I've now got my champ working. I've got the starter kit working and whatever else I can do that. I've just not got my Gmail on my wife's laptop for obvious fucking reasons.
Alf has offered a prediction saying, "Sorry, Macca, but he's going to."
You got battered last game.
And Martin,
I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me if we lost this game. But,
well, you're already ahead. Nedved has opened the scoring on 21 minutes.
Mon the C-suite. I believe Martin Petterson's just said that. And do you know what? What a wise old head he was. He knows a good team when he sees one.
Approaching half time.
I'd take 1-0. I'd take 1-0 here. We fucking, yeah. All right. It's about time. Where's Campbell? Has Campbell fell asleep? Has his kid battered him yet? I mean, look at... Do you know what I mean? Exactly. People slag off the C-suite, but look at that. Look at that.
Dominant first half
If Pep Guardiola produced them numbers, everyone would be like, oh, he's the best. Oh, yeah. The Athletic would be telling me and Ryan what to be doing again.
Well, I'll go to Haggis first on the off chance Ian is still around the chat and wants to make any changes. He'll be very frustrated, I think, to see Mendieta on a 5, but he is playing in central midfield on his own against some of the best midfielders in the league.
Does anyone know what a herd of goats is called? What's the technical term for it?
Are they not a herd?
No, it's Fulchester. Boom! Have some of that. There we go.
God.
I mean, I'm about to win a game potentially, or draw a game, and stay in the same position I was in a week before on a game that is older than both my children and relationship with my wife combined. Yet here I am getting absurdly excited about it, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is why we still play this game, because it's the best.
Ryan saying
it's the one true relationship we've ever had. Pardon?
Ryan
needs to get more than one. A filch of goals. Well, at least he didn't say filch.
Basically, mate, I've ticked over to your individual ratings here, and
Sound.
There's nothing there to be upset about at all.
No, every single one of them completed passes. Oh God, sorry, the Peroni's so gassy.
That's all right.
Oh God, every single one of them completed passes was just tremendous. It's one of the best passes we've ever seen. I mean, just let me do the quick math here.
Champagne Olé football already.
18, 27, 30, 41, 55, 68, 77, 81, 92, 94 passes of perfection. Fuck the attemptions.
Do you want to make any changes at halftime?
To quote Jamie Carragher and Steven Gerrard, no, do you know what? Actually, Mickey Owen, bless his cotton socks, he's got an assist. Can't knock him. He's on 94. Although Ronaldo on 83.
Ryan's
He does
pointing
worry
out
me.
Ronaldo's condition.
He does. Do you know what? Actually, can we do GBCs for Ronaldo?
You can indeed.
No, I was getting to that. Ryan's obviously got better internet than me somehow. I'm meant to live in some middle class twat area. How's he streaming it faster than I am? Anyway, yeah, let's do GBCs for that, and hopefully.
I haven't seen anything from Ian in the chat for a while, but especially not during his game. So I'm going to suggest he's not watching live.
No, what worries me is that Edinburgh to Manchester's about 4 and a bit hours, and if he set off at the start of the show, he would roughly be at about Killington Lake Services about now. So I could be in big trouble by 1 a.m.
Okay. I'll wait further news in the middle of the night on how that goes.
So I'll lock the door. I'll just pretend he's not there.
It still very much looks like Fulchester are dominating.
Fulchester, la la la. Fulchester, la la la.
Fulchester, la la la. Capitalise on their dominance. La, la, la. As Haggis come forward and Saha it was with the chance, but Fulchester do double. Oh, Giggs has been ruled offside. And then
what is up with these restaurants? Who the fuck is Ben Williams?
10 minutes fly by with nothing happening.
Absolutely flown by.
Are Fulchester going to rue the fact that they've not scored a second?
Owen's at the post. Honestly, Michael Owen, if he spent less time at his soccer school.
In injury time.
No, don't.
Rasicki goes down. Free kick given.
Don't.
Aguera.
No. I've only got 2 laptops. No.
Veron coming forward. Can they wrap it up? I'm so unlucky for Veron. What a save. There's the full-time whistle. And it finishes Fulchester 1, Haggis 0.
Dominant. Incredible. Honestly, I mean, this will go down in the annals of history. What a game. One of the most lopsided, unbelievable 1-0s you'll ever see.
When you consider when you first started playing this formation, you were creating 18 and 14 attempts on goal. It's a good win. It's not your most impressive performance.
No, but do you know what though, Fife? We're still only scoring 1 goal. So now that we've actually managed to increase that efficiency, I think teams need to be worried.
Yeah,
because we're now creating less chances and scoring more goals. I mean, that's dangerous. I mean, he's had the assist. Oh, Mickey Owen, what a boy.
Yepes it is with man of the match for his performance, but it's just solid numbers in terms of the stats, in terms of the ratings. Cisse not really having the impact you were looking for, but other than that, there's just no real negatives to pull up there, is there?
Solid, capable, competent unit.
Capable, competent unit, indeed. Let's have a look at Haggis then. Another defeat for them. Samuel rating a 5. Duff a 6. Give me 1 minute, Jens, and I will bring up the league table. Shevchenko and Saha failing to make any sort of inroads, really. Shevchenko not even having a shot.
Who?
Shevchenko not even having a shot.
Gash.
Is there any words of comfort for your opposition manager this evening?
No.
No, just no.
Well, the fact that I think Ian had a better night last night than I had, judging by his exuberance today. But I mean, do you know, it's always incredible to win and somehow stay in the same position you are in the Super League, which is nonsense.
There are
unfortunately, I mean, Haggis are 11th, but not like no one's really 11th. Tell you, everyone from 7th down to 14th is kind of just you're there for a bit, and then you might make a run of this, that, and the other. Unless you're absolutely shit, then well, you're still in that pot.
So we've had 5 home wins tonight. Only Dudley Hill managing to win away from home, and only 1 draw in the battle at the bottom between Sloths and Gazelles. 5 teams failing to score as well in what was a very goal-shy evening compared to some of the other Super League weeks. But we do end tonight with Dudley Hill top of the pile on goal difference.
Not real.
Their defensive record, as much as anything, in pressing when compared to Devils. They are level on points. Burn 2 behind on the same points as Fulchester. And then you are a point further ahead of Astor, and Bostock, who make up the top 6. Dragons 1 point outside the dotted line. Churchtown 2 points themselves outside the dotted line. And then a bit of a gap starts to form with Halls and Sloths on 9 points, 4 below the bottom line. And if we look at the bottom, Gazelle's point sees them leapfrog Leddersford on goal difference, but there is only 3 points separating 14th from 9th as well. So
I would say the teams at the bottom would still look at there's 10 points between 2nd and 14th. That's ridiculous.
Well, technically, there's 10 points between 1st and 14th.
Well, actually, yeah. Do you know what I mean? 10 points between top and 14th. That's nothing. It's 4 games. If they want to look at a bit closer to home, 6th and 14th is 3 games. That's it. It's 3 games. Somebody can have a meltdown. Somebody might forget to put a team in. Do you know what I mean? Take advantage of all these shithousery situations. You not think Greaves has been, trying to plant fake news stories in the local paper to catch us out and submit teams? Don't fall for it, lads. Stay alert. But it's 3 games at worst. Don't worry.
Just very briefly, I don't want to focus on this too long because I know that you'll want to be getting off and people are already starting.
I'm not. I'm staying on. Bye for you're staying on here. I'm drinking, lad. Come on.
So I'm just looking at some of these stats, and we'll do the player stats in a second. Jens needs to go, so let's just have a quick look at the next fixtures for him. So Halls are away to Sloths next up. You have where's
Burn?
There you are. You're away to Burn. Oh, you mentioned your next couple of games. Let's have a look at your next couple of games. So away to Burn, and then you are
home Devils.
At home to Devils.
Draw
before being away to Dudley Hill.
Exactly right. So that's 3 draws. It's fine.
So your next 3 games are against the current top 3.
Yeah. And do you know what? Of all the teams they would not want to face, it's me.
So Devils top scorers in the league at the minute 17, way out in front. Dudley they're closest with 14. But Devils have already conceded 12 this year, which is more than anyone else in the top 6. And
top 9.
And then moving further down, more than anyone else in the top 9. So there's definitely reasons to be positive. I mean, if you look at Dudley Hill, their goal record is similar, not quite as good as Devils, but similar. But they've conceded a lot closer to what the average is. Similarly, you look at Sloths, for example, in 10th, they've scored more than 4 of the top 6.
Yeah.
But it's their defensive record that they need to work on. Whereas Leddersford, for example, have only scored 4, and so clearly that's where they need to improve.
That boggles the mind, particularly with Leddersford, given the attacking riches at their disposal. That is just very odd. Me and Ryan know that even though we've only scored 9 goals, we've created so many chances that no matter what striker was there, we may have only just scored 9 goals because a lot of keepers have had blinders against us. So I mean, that's just part and parcel of the management.
Looking at this, Smuts has just made a very valid point about how there's fine margins in this league. They're on exactly. They've got 1 goal different to what Northern Burn have.
Yep.
And they're
4
places different in the league.
Yeah, and you know what? And I would completely reiterate that point of
in fact, they're on the same goal difference as you, Dragons, but 2 points.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. But I've got 2 points more. I'm just saying that just goes to show how certain things can fall in certain favours, and it's essentially. I mean, I don't want to put too much stock in it, but it's you win some, you lose some.
Yep.
If you beat the teams you perhaps maybe should beat, and we say we should beat, we're still sort of working out who fits into that mould. Great, fine, yeah, whatever. I mean, Other times you might get a hide-in just because you get a hide-in. I mean, let's all bear in mind, right? I mean, all the Swan stats point out that I've been one of the best, 3-4 teams in the league for the past 4 seasons.
Yep.
But I've also been dicked by Sloths on regular occasions. I've been dicked by Devils on regular occasions. I've not had the better of Burn or Boston. So it's not like it's, I'm a flat track bully or anything. There is just general grind out there that you need to occasionally nick wins, beat teams, nick the odd extra goal here or there, and that it all matters.
No, absolutely. Couldn't agree more, pal. Couldn't agree more. Thank you very much for what has been another entertaining evening with you on CoComs. I very much appreciate it. Always enjoy having you on. It's always great value. I'm pleased to say that comms for Thursday is already sorted, with Dragons assistant manager Smuts taking advantage of having some spare time to join me on Thursday. So I'm sure that will be enjoyable while we go through these fixtures. Any final thoughts from you, Macca, before we sign off for the evening?
Just that I think it probably gets said every single season, but I genuinely believe this season could be the tightest ever Super League season that we've seen.
The tightest ever. Well, we do seem to say it every year at the moment, but every year I think it becomes more factually accurate as well. Macca, thank you very much. Thank you to everyone in the chat as well. I, as always, loved reading your comments, whether relevant to the action or not. Until Thursday from Super League HQ, it is a very good night from me.